speaking the truth is part of justice, you know. So me speaking the truth, telling you what I know and asking questions is part of bringing justice. All right. So let's move on to the second story. Still Rwandan drama. So now the second story is this Rwandan man who was shot by the police. It just happened, my people. It just happened. Um, in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Now, obviously, it's a very disturbing thing, and I'm not going to say that racism, white supremacy doesn't exist in this country, but all I'm saying is condolences and sorry to the family and everything. But I'm also saying that we should be very careful not to immediately jump into protesting and screaming racism before there's even an investigation, because even the popo is humans, and we need to remember where we come from. We come from a criminal dictatorship. The popo, the police in Rwanda, they kill people every day. No one in Rwanda is ever allowed to speak to the media, to protest, to march, and to do any media interviews in peace, to talk about how the police has been unjustly killing citizens. So, how come? So, this is something that I'm calling the Canadian privilege. I'm even grateful for this Canadian privilege, that we may even be in Canada and be free to protest, to march. I've seen Rwandan people protest and marching. I'm actually shocked. I didn't even know that Rwandan people were capable of protesting and marching. And they're doing all this in peace. They have been able to establish a link for people to help them, and people have helped them thousands and thousands of dollars. Things that would never be possible in the Rwandan society, in the Rwandan country, in the Kagamistan, because if the police kill you, if the Kagamistan kill you, no protest, no marching, nothing. Everybody is silent. And then you see um, Rwandan community, Rwandan people who say that they are also advocating for human rights. These Rwandan people, they have never marched. They have never been vocal denouncing the Kagamistan, talking about how the Kagamistan is in Congo, killing the Congolese people, invading the Congolese people and killing them. Why is the Kagamistan in Congo killing the Congolese people? Over 10 million people have lost their lives in Congo. It's about tribalism. Rwandan people are in a tribalistic war. They've been in tribalism, in tribalistic wars for generations now. They give themselves to hate each other based on tribes, based on tribalism. The Kagamistan, a tribalistic army, they go into the Congo and kill the Congolese people for simply being Congolese, so that they can take over their land, exterminate them, occupy them, plunder them, so that they can enrich themselves. And then Rwandan people become refugees and they come to Canada. If they encounter racism, they're like, oh my God, racism. But they don't see their own racism, they don't see their own tribalism, they don't see the Kagamistan killing machine, what kind of horrible crimes against humanity that they do. And I'm saying this because I saw Rwandan people posting a video of this man who was shot by the police, They're saying that he was a good man, peaceful man. I don't know him, so he may be all that. Good for him. But they also then posted a video of him dancing happy and wearing inkotanyi cyane, and this is the army. This is the army of the Kagamistan. This is a t-shirt praising the Kagamistan and the Kagamistan army in Inkotanyi. This is the army that took over Rwanda through blood. This is the army that is partially has some responsibility in what happened in Rwanda, in the genocide against the Tutsi, in the genocide in Congo. This is the Kagamistan army. So you are a peaceful person. You have run away from Rwanda. You live in Canada. But even while you're in Canada, you are praising a criminal dictatorship. You are so happy to tell everyone, the public, that you are part of it, that you are proud of it. This army that is responsible for massacres and genocide, this criminal dictatorship that still rules Rwanda, Rwandans are slaves where they kill who they want and no one is allowed to make some noise, to say anything, to protest, to speak to the media, to march. So you have the Canadian privilege, you're in Canada, and then a tragedy happens to you. And the first thing that you do is, they hate me. It's racism. This is why this happened. There's absolutely no other reason why it may have happened. How is Canada so racist when you have been able to be successful in Canada, when you have run away from, we have run away from our society? I am in Canada, I'm a refugee in Canada because Canada treats me better than how my own people would treat me if I had the freedom of speech and if I called out my government. You see Rwandans living in Canada being able to march and to talk and to be in the media. They would never be able to do this in our own country, in Rwanda. And yet people are saying that it's the Canadian society which is wrong, which is racist, the Canadian society which treats us better than our own home country, the Canadian society which gives us the Canadian privilege, which gives us so many advantages, so many privileges in this society. That is the society that you're going to say is racist, but you can't see your own society where you come from. You are proud to wear the name of this army, which is responsible for wars and massacres and genocide, while living in Canada, while talking about how the Canadian society is racist. But it is the Canadian society which has given you all these kind of opportunities. This is the man that was shot by the police saying hi to the Canadian minister. And the man who's the Canadian minister in the suit and the blue shirt is from Somalia. Do you know any Canadians, white people who have immigrated to Somalia and become ministers in the Somalian government? Even this man also had the opportunity to work with the Canadian government, you know? So I would like to question Rwandans against this sort of hypocrisy and this sort of blindness and this sort of lack of gratitude for the society that we have, which gives us so many privileges. And then when a tragedy happens, we are so quick to judge and to throw this society under the bus, but yet it is this society that treats us so much better than where we come from. So, does it always have to be about racism? No, it should not always have to be about racism. So, what if it's not about racism? What other questions can we ask apart from the racism that people have already determined that it's racism. There's no investigation, there's no trial, nothing, but people have already jumped to that conclusion. So, what if I would say that if there had been an investigation, and then there was clear proof and evidence that they did that something unfair and unjust had happened, and it was indeed because of racism, and the courts and the videos and the audios have had clearly established that, and the case had been to court, and then when they come to the sentencing they say, oh, nothing has happened, then people would have had been justified to rise up and to march and to say there has been an injustice, there has been an injustice. But for people to rise up and to march before there's any investigation, before there's any evidence of anything, and for people to just jump to the conclusion they become then the justice, they have already sentenced and judged whatever has happened, and they have to come to the conclusion that it's racism, and therefore they are marching. And then the NDP and the liberals have already politicized this. We've seen the MP, the liberal MP, who always, by the way, the what is her name, Ariel Kayabaga, she always defends the Kagamistan interest in Canada. I don't know if she's an MP for the Kagamistan or for the liberals. They have already politicized it. The NDP and the liberals have already politicized it. And you know how the NDP and the liberals like to throw around racism in order of even asking questions and going deeper. They just like to throw around racism, which is precisely why they're going to be voted out. The same way that they were voted out in the USA, the same way that they may be voted out in Canada, because the only thing that they do whenever something happens, they're like, it's racism. So let me show you questions that we can ask, and then you're gonna tell me what's happening, and is it really every time just about racism? Let me show you other questions that we can ask, okay? So this is the thing in Google, the story, Rwandan man killed by the police. Let's go to the story and then see what they say and the questions that I had about it, okay? So once again, so sorry for the children, father of 3. And then the wife spoke to the CBC telling them that the family is devastating and that. Sorry, so sorry about that. But this is a detail that is a bit concerning. The wife said that she was not at Kabera's apartment at the time of the shooting. What does that mean? Are they married or are they not married? So if they are married, do they live in the same town or do they not live in the same town? If they live in the same town, do they live in the same house or do they not live in the same house? Why is it that the man has his own apartment and he was at his own apartment alone? Was he there alone or was anybody else there with him? Why? Who called the police on him? Why did the neighbors call the police? And then they say that a police officer sustained non-life threatening injuries. So how did the police officer get injured? Why? Like, why did the police officer have to use their guns? And how did the police officer get injured. I'm asking these questions because I live in Canada, obviously, and I have encountered um, police in Canada, and my neighbors have called the popo on me so many times, actually. Huh? So many times. I could tell you stories about how my neighbors would call the popo when I was actually new in Canada. My neighbors, I would have parties at my house every weekend. Okay. I am guilty, 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 guilty. I would have parties at my house every weekend. I would be like, yo, I am celebrating the fact that I have survived. I have survived war. I have survived massacres. I have survived genocide. And on top of that, I have escaped. I have escaped the criminal dictatorship and I have been so privileged. I have gone and traveled and arrived all the way in Canada. I always felt like this is something that I should always be celebrating. So when I was new in Canada, I was always partying, celebrating the simple fact that I survived and that I made it all the way to Canada. You know how hard it is to survive this Rwandan barbarism? Eh? Cheikh Anta Diop, civilisation ou barbarie? Rwandan barbarism. Surviving Rwandan barbarism. Making it all the way to Canada. I always felt like I am so grateful. And I will always party to celebrate this. So I'm throwing parties all the time, celebrating that I'm in Canada. I say we party. I even used to have a song, yo. We got to party just to make it today. Oh yeah, we party. Yo. And my neighbors, they never understood it. They didn't know. They would call the Pope all the time. And sometimes I'd be like, why are they so racist? Why can't they just come to my door? Tell me. But that's not their culture. And then in my culture, in my head, I was thinking, okay, I'm going to have a party. I'm going to put music. I'm even increasing the volume of the music. If my neighbors hear, they're going to come to the house. They're going to be like, yo, so there's a party in here. The same way it would happen in Africa. I don't know what I was thinking, you know. But I always thought that I want my neighbors to come to the party. So I'm even putting music and then they're going to come to my party. And then I'm going to be like, come in, let's party, you know. Come all the way up from Rwanda, man. Ah! And I'm so happy to be in a peaceful Canadian country. I can testify, man. Canadian people are so nice. But back then, I didn't realize it yet. I'm like, what is wrong with my neighbors? Eventually, they even kicked me out of the building. But eventually, I understood. It's not out of hate. That's just not how they party. And if somebody has a party, no one is coming to knock at your door and improvising and inviting themselves at your party. This is something that people do in Africa. Nobody here invites themselves at your house. Even if you have a party, you increase the volume. No one is coming. They're going to call the police on you. They called the police on me so many times. And the police comes to my house. So this is why I'm like, oh, somebody called the police on this man. The police came to the house. What was the complaint? Who called the police? What was the complaint? Is this his apartment or a friend's apartment? Why does he have his own apartment if he has a wife and 3 children? And then his wife is like, I was not at his apartment. So the wife has her own apartment with the children, and he was all alone at that apartment of his. And then while he was being all alone, The neighbors or someone called the police to come and check on nothing, absolutely nothing. So anyways, my neighbors used to call the popo on me all the time. And then the popo would come to my house. Po, po, po! They knock. How did I react when the popo came to my house? How am I still alive today that the popo has not killed me? How many times they came to my house? So maybe this is going to help some people because we don't know yet. Maybe I could share how I have survived the popo getting called at my house for so many times. The popo in Quebec can testify. I lived in Montreal. They have it on the record. They can check how many times they came to my house because my neighbors complained. So how am I still alive? The popo would come to my house. I would open the door and I would be like, hey, welcome to the party. I would open the door. I would be so happy, man. I would be like, yo, come in. Welcome to the party. Come see what's happening. We are not doing anything wrong. And I don't even know why they call the popo. I'm there every time I ask a price. You call the popo on me? What I do? Oh, you don't like my music? And I would be like, popo, come in. We are just having a party. I'm here with all my boyfriends and all my girlfriends. Come to the party, yo. I would invite them in. I'll be like, come see. There's absolutely nothing happening. We're just having a great time. And you are welcome to stay and have a great time. And the popo would just be there like, who is this girl? She's crazy. They would always be apologizing. Like, we wish we could stay at your party. Please, can you just turn the music down? Because your neighbors are complaining. Please turn the music down. And after 11 p.m. in Quebec, especially, turn the music down. Sometimes the popo had to come to my place twice in the same night. I hereby apologize, by the way. Take the opportunity to apologize. But I had no idea. But all I'm saying is that the police were always so nice to me. And I was so nice to them. And I opened the door. I welcomed them. I have never seen police which is nicer than the Canadian popo. The Canadian popo are so nice. So, what happened? What happened? What is it that happened? That they felt threatened. What is it that provoked them? What is it that could have happened when the popo come to my house that would make them feel threatened and draw out guns and start shooting at me? What is it that could happen? All the popo who ever came to my house, I never saw a black popo. They were all white people. Always. And they never said, oh, we don't like you because you're black. Or they never mistreated me in any way because I'm black. And the whole house, all the time, every time at my parties, rarely any white people. I don't know no white people, man. I don't know them. They invite me to their party sometimes. I invite them to my party sometimes. They come, they don't come. We're still gonna party, right? But majority of times, the house, all the men, all the girls, always all African. The popo come in. So nice, so respectful. I'm nice, I'm respectful. No drama ever happened. I lived in Quebec for 10 years. So I want my people to think really hard and to reflect. Like, really? You're really saying that the Canadians, the people, the popo, they're so racist, and the neighbor will call the police and they'll come to your house and kill you for no reason. And you're such a nice person and you're such a peaceful person. So the problem has to be the police, and the problem has to be because they have a hate for you. Hate, racism. They discriminating against you. This is why. I want us to ask those questions, my people, and to be very careful and to be very grateful of the society in which we live in, and to be very grateful of the Canadian privilege that we have, that we may even be allowed to rise up, to go in the media, to make some noise, to go in the streets and to march, whether we are right or whether we are wrong. But at least we live even in a society which we even have the right to do that. And then we even have the right to ask, demand, request investigations. So if we live in such a society that respects the rule of law, why is it that when a tragedy happens, we can't be patient and just ask investigation before we rush to the protest, to the streets, and before we rush into saying that it has to be racism, and this is why the police did what they did to the man? I want you guys to reflect on that. All right, my people. So we are moving on into Kinyarwanda. And before we move into Kinyarwanda, I'm just going to see the comments, see if you have any comments in English. And then I'm going to move into French maybe a little bit before I move into Kinyarwanda. All right. Eh, Mok Parunzora Kata is here. Mok Parunzora Kata est là. Donc, I'm definitely gonna speak a little bit into French before I move into Kinyarwanda. All right, my people. So I'm so sorry for all your tragedies, but I'm just asking you to be very careful, to be very cautious, and to realize the Canadian privileges that you have, the UK privileges that you have, and not to misuse them, to have some gratitude for this great society that we have come to live in. And if this society is so horrible, so racist, and it's so much better than where we've come from, why are you still in this society? Why are you having children in this society? And then you're living in this society praising the dictatorship back home, the dictatorship that you can't even go back to live in. If you are living in the dictatorship and they kill you or they kill one of your own, you would never be allowed to speak. You would never be allowed to protest. You would never be allowed to say nothing. You would just be forced to continue to praise the dictatorship. So let's be grateful for the Canadian privilege and for all the things that we have, but let's be very, very careful not to misuse them. Because I think that if people misuse this racist thing, and people are always emotional and just rising up and claiming racism all the time, anytime, I think you're going to devalue the real racist incidents that have happened in the past, and you're going to devalue the struggle of the people who came to this land a while ago, much, much, much before we came to this land. The African Americans and African Canadians who have lived on these continents for hundreds of years and who have had to face horrible, horrible things. They can talk about racism, white supremacy from back in the days. They've had to face so many horrible things. But we come to this society, we're new in this society, and they have already like achieved so much and established a society that gives us so much privilege. So for us to be blind to all these advantages and all these privileges and fall into the trap of calling racism before there's an investigation, before there's any trial, before there's anything, I think it's a very careless way of reacting in this great society that we have gotten the privilege to live in. And we live here because it's so much better than our own home countries. And we live here because they treat us so much better than our home countries. And if you disagree, my people, if you disagree, prove me wrong. Bon voyage, go back home. So I'm so sorry for your loss, but be very, very careful. Be very careful, my people. Let there be an investigation. Let us find out what exactly happened. Why was he there? Is it his apartment? Why doesn't he live with his wife and children? Where was his wife and his children? Who called the police on him? Why did they call the police on him? Why did the police feel threatened? Why did they pull out their guns? Did he have any guns on him? Why is it that he's on the internet praising the dictatorship of the Kagamistan wearing the Inkotanyi cyane? This is the army which is in Congo killing and plundering our fellow Africans. We have never seen any of these Rwandan activists talking about how the Kagamistan is committing all this tribalism and crimes in the Congo, killing over 10 million lives, but they can see racism in Canada. They can't see the tribalism in our own home in Congo that the people that they praise are committing against our fellow Africans, but they can see racism from white people to black people in Canada. The society which has given you so many advantages, has given you jobs, has made you this and this and that. That society, you know how to see its racism. But your own society where you come from, which is tribalistic, which tribalism is just like racism, you can't see that. And you never call that out, my people. So this is why I say that it's Rwandan hypocrisy. And we have to self-examine. So people, be very, very careful. All right. Just because people lose people doesn't mean that it gives them the right to go into their emotions and to react emotionally and to forget everything else and to start talking about, oh, I don't know how I'm ever going to get over this. I don't know how my children, this and this and that. Come on. Let's be very cautious and wise. Let's wait for investigations before we march into marches. And if we're going to march asking for justice, how come we never march denouncing where we come from, which is at war, which is killing our fellow Africans? We never march for that. But we get offended if white people are racist towards us. So we have the right to be racist, to kill each other, to be tribalist, to hate other Africans just because they are this tribe that we are not. And then if, God forbid, we encounter some racism, they're like, oh, how dare you be racist against me? Me? I don't agree with you being racist against me. And don't you dare question that I'm also a tribalist and I don't care what the criminal dictatorship that I praise is doing in Congo against our fellow Africans. Don't question that. Look at the white man who is so racist against me. Let's march against the white man. Let's never denounce our own people. So that's what I had to say, my people. That's what I had to say. Let me see in the comments, and then we're going to move into French and Kinyarwanda. Titi Gromine, I see you. Thank you so much for being here. I will not. Gorero Auguste, I see you. Rene Chironje, I see you. Tuspo Honana, I see you. Tuspo Honana is like Rudakwana Axel is in the international Western settlers terrorism system. This is why his case is in deep silent. My people, what if this is bigger than the boy? And so they will sacrifice the boy, put him forward, and then be silent, act. You've always had mental issues. Everybody knows he's always had mental issues. Maybe he has autism, but if they only focus on the boy, they will not be able to see anything else that may be connected to the boy. What if that's the game that they are playing, my people? We have to ask these questions, and investigations have to be conducted, because an underage boy, where does an underage boy find poison? Where does an underage boy learn, have the skills to kill? I can't even kill a chicken. Or you mean an underage boy knows how to kill, is so efficient at killing? He has been trained. Who trained him? Oh, please, nobody talk about his father being in the military as an underage boy. A military that brags about being killing machine. We have them on video bragging that they are killing machines. Don't look at any of that. So my people, I don't know, man. I refuse to be silent. People have their reasons to be silent. Yo, I'm here refusing to be silent, yo. I'm warning Instagram people that if you want to keep watching U&I, please come to YouTube, because apparently Instagram limits to 1 hour broadcast, so they're gonna cut me at the 1 hour mark. So if you want to continue having fun on U&I, come to YouTube. We're about to move into French. Don't come if you don't speak French and Kinyarwanda, because we're about to move into French and Kinyarwanda anyways. Unless, of course, you want to learn, right? So before we move, let's see if there's any more English comments. And there is, I like apple pie. Thanks for covering, Louise, watching from the UK. My UK people, I see you. I see you. I do not want to see dictatorship come to your country under the excuse of, ooh, no. We need you guys to stay democratic and free. If you lose your democracy and your freedom, all these people who are always running away from their dictatorship countries coming to you, where are they going to go? People don't even ask themselves these questions. They see the government, the new Labour government trashing British people's rights, and they don't even question it. But where are they going to go if even the UK becomes a criminal dictatorship? So I'm here for freedom, for truth. That it's my pleasure to die for freedom and truth, because the Kagamistan be talking about, oh, we're going to kill you, Louise. If you speak, you die. I'm like, yeah, kill me. As if you're not going to die. You're going to die too one day, So killing me, how is that a solution? I'm going to become more powerful dead, because, I'm going to become a super ghost, I'm going to become even more powerful. I'm a spirit imprisoned in a little African woman. So imagine now, you kill me, you free my spirit. I'm going to become so much more powerful. I don't even understand how you can think that killing me is a solution and that's what's going to make me silent. I'm warning you, Kagamistan criminal dictatorship. I refuse to be silent. Hmm. Ndagafusha Rukara is like, c'est ses avocats qui lui dictent de se taire. C'est inadmissible. So he's saying that it's his lawyers who are telling him to be quiet. And this is inadmissible. Hmm. Hmm. That could be their defense strategy, you know. Be quiet, be silent. We're gonna go on the fact that you have mental issues or autism because we have a record of that. We can clearly establish it. And then everything else is gonna be on the hush, hush, hush. Nobody else is gonna find out that maybe this is the tip of the iceberg. Maybe there's a deeper, deeper, deeper network, a bigger thing. Hey, yeah, we know how the Kagamistan operates. We know how they operate. Maybe British people don't know, or maybe they're pretending like they don't know because their government collaborates with the Kagamistan, because you've seen how much money they've been giving to the Kagamistan, right? So maybe the government is in on it. As you know, governments and leaders, they always collaborate in order to oppress their own people. So I would not be surprised if the leaders in the UK are collaborating with the criminal dictatorship of the Kagamistan in order for the criminal dictatorship to help them bring in dictatorship to their own people. They are capable of doing that to their own people. And you can tell that this is exactly what they're doing if you analyze the solutions that the Labour government has proposed in the UK. Look at the solutions that they have proposed. It's all about trashing their people's rights. Turi kumwe mbwaya handi. Bazanzuri, at another surprising story about this incident is that all the newspapers are describing Kabera Erickson as a genocide survivor. And I doubt about this because his family came from abroad after the genocide. So these are questions that you may ask. So if his family came from abroad after the genocide, how then does he come to Canada as a refugee? And then if you come to Canada as a refugee, that means you're coming to Canada running away from the criminal dictatorship of the Kagamistan, because that's who's in power. If you're going to become a refugee, that's who you're running from. But then you are in Canada dancing, praising Inhotanyi, you wearing their army t-shirt. This is the army that brought war, massacres, and genocide to Rwanda. If you're a genocide survivor, how can you be praising the criminal dictatorship of the Kagamistan? And then, how are you a refugee in Canada if you came to Rwanda after the genocide and you have no issues whatsoever with the criminal dictatorship that you have run away from? All these are questions that people must ask, that people can ask, instead of always, let's get emotional, let's jump in the streets, let's scream, and because, oh, racism, racism, racism. Nobody has asked any questions. They're just so quick to be in the streets talking about racism. But that's also because of the Canadian privilege, which gives you that right to do that. Even if you want to do it, whether you're right or wrong, you do it. You go in the street peacefully and you protest. You see where we're living, my people? Clementine Mahoro, I see you. I think we will come back to you in the Kinyarwanda. Bazanzuri, since you wrote in English, that's what we're going to put on. I wonder why they always pretend branding everyone from Burundi, Congo, Uganda as genocide against the Tutsi survivor. You can only be a survivor of the Tutsi genocide if you were in Rwanda in 1994. Anybody else, there are Tutsis in Senegal, Somalia, wherever, all across Africa, there are Tutsis. All the Tutsis are not survivors of the genocide, only if you were in Rwanda. So, but they do that as a tribalistic thing, so people can have their group and exclude themselves and feel the right to discriminate against anyone who is not part of that group. They practice discrimination. They don't even want to see anybody else's drama. They just want to see their drama. But then they rise and they say racism. They can't see their own racism, but they can see white people's racism. My people, be very, very careful. Hano hose ati hello Uwacu, we are together here in Kigali and we're so proud of you. Thank you so much, my people. Out here serving Imana, just preaching and speaking the truth, nothing but the truth. Kanze guceceka, refusing to be silent. Rwandan people call me crazy. It's okay, man. I am going to live happily and then I'm going to die. It's okay. I'm going to live crazy and then die. You're going to live frustrated, never having expressed yourself, always in silence. You can never express your joy. You can never express your nothing. You can never express your deep thoughts. You are always silent. Rwandan people. And then they call me crazy. It's okay. I'm gonna live crazy, then I'm gonna die. But before I die, I'ma have spoken, yo. I'm not remaining silent. Thank you so much, my Rwandan people. And I'll also speak because I know that in Rwanda, everyone is the only right that you have actually in Rwanda is the right to remain silent. No other right. No other right. The only right the Rwandans can freely practice is the right to remain silent. All the best to you, my people. Anthony McPhail, I see you. I see you. Much love from Louisiana. Yo, thank you so much for voting for Trump. The liberal madness is out. So this liberal madness in Canada is also going to be out. Did you see the liberal MP? Oh man, liberal madness has to be out. So America has said bye Felicia to the liberal madness. I think Canada is next. Canada is going to say no to the liberal madness. Then people are going to have to be forced to think and to ask questions and to have real dialogues instead of anything and everything that happens. They hate me, they hate me, they hate me. This is why, this is why. GF Fine Production. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Africa Now. Atinda gukunda cyane iyo uvuga Kagamistan. Thank you. Mimi Keza. Yo, love from the USA. Yo, my people. Thank you. Speciosi Shavu, I see you. Speciosi Shavu is like, British government will be surprised if this government does not do anything to stop this their support for the killing machine, which is Kagamistan. Watch out. Gara eux. I don't know how what is it that we're gonna be saying and warning, but the British government is involved in the cover up. So the only thing that we could do is speak to the British people. When I do my videos, I'm speaking directly to the people. I'm bypassing their government because their government corrupted, complicit, cover up, part of the criminal dictatorship. They want to bring criminal dictatorship to their own people. Look at what they have done to their own people. So, yeah, so the British government is in on it. But I think that this government is also going to get kicked out. The liberal government in Canada is also hated. The Trudeau I've never seen any Canadian politician more hated than the liberals, and they deserve it because of the policies that they have brought. And when people denounce them, it's not about people being racist, it's because they deserve it. And This thing of always calling racist is it's like liberal policy. That's why you even saw the liberal MP come out. It's like their policy. They always would rather talk about racism. Even during the pandemic, when people would be like, my body, my choice, I don't want your experimental injections, they'd be like, oh, racist. So it's a bad habit that has to end. All right, my people. So let's move into French because I'm on Mokparun Zorakata's comment right now and it's in French. So this is a perfect opportunity, perfect time for us to move into French. Thank you so much, my English speaking people. Mwah. I'll see you next week. Share the show. I'll cut the show on its own and give you the English part on its own, so you don't have to suffer the French and the Kinyarwanda. All right, my people. Welcome to the French section. La famille, merci.